Hi everyone, welcome to another video. I'm sorry for being a bit dressed down. I had a late night and I'm feeling quite tired. Anyway, we're going to be doing a Q&A. I had loads of you write really good questions to me and I've picked out some of the best. We've got stuff here from money, debt, who pays the biggest portion of the bills, the cars, pregnancy, everything. And I love your questions. So the first question is from Amanda. And it says, in previous videos, you say you don't want children, but if contraception failed and if you were to fall pregnant, what would you do and what would your reaction be? If that happened, I would keep it. But my reaction, I wouldn't be ecstatic, to be honest. I mean, for me, children have never been something that have really interested me, and I'm quite lucky because when I met David, he was the same. He was pretty ambivalent about it. And I think one of the things that really set my mind on it as well is that when I was growing up, my brother was born when I was, I don't know how old, like at 11 or something. And when he was born, I remember how relentless babies, toddlers, young children are. I remember it, and it went on for years, and like the crying at night and the crying in the day and the needing to be fed and changed, and it's just very exhausting. And I wasn't even his mother, obviously. I was just helping to look after him, but I do remember what hard work it is and was. What is your goal in life? Honestly, my ultimate goal in life, it's got nothing to do with finances or anything like that. My ultimate goal in life is to be content. Like happy and content. And they are the two things that I aspire to be. And I feel that I am happy and content pretty much all of the time. And you know, contentment has got nothing to do with stuff, by the way. I always think the best way to be is to be content in yourself in terms of who you are, the people you've got around you, what you've got right now, the food that you will eat today, and your health, or just to be content and satisfied with what you've got right now. And that is my daily goal, is to be grateful for everything that I've got, because it can go in a second. How did you start up your marketing business, and do you have any tips on it? I started up the business I had been working so I graduated university, went straight into a marketing job. It was kind of marketing, it was like customer service. Then I went more into marketing full on. I was working in the industry for around about 8 years, I think 8 years. And I got as senior as I could do at the particular place I was at. And when I was climbing my way up, it all felt really fun until I hit the ceiling, and then it wasn't fun anymore because I'd hit a peak and then didn't really know what to do after it. And there was two things I could have done. Either gone to a bigger company and then work my way up again from the level that I was at that point. Does that make sense? But even then, I was already a director by that point, so I didn't really have much further that I could have gone even at a bigger place. And it was either that or like work on your own. Now, I would never have quit my job and done my own business if it wasn't for the fact that I already had work that could pay for my way. So when I was working at the last company I was at, I was working with clients outside of my job, which in the industry that I'm in is really very normal. And in fact, other colleagues that I would work with, they would equally have their own clients, and sometimes they would outsource work to you if it was your speciality, and then you do it back, etc. And I already had that going on. So when I decided like what to do, I thought, I think I want to focus for a bit on trying to grow those clients and just see where it takes me. And that's what I did. And then it kind of took off from there. Any tips? I think the best tips are get yourself great experience. I have quite a lot of you who write to me privately, and you are coming up to graduating university and you want to skip work altogether and like go and set up your own business. And my thing that I always say to all of you is you have to do that bit. You have to learn from the ground up. And those initial jobs that you start doing at the beginning, don't disregard those. They are probably where you learn the most when it comes to you know, how to converse with people and deal with people and negotiate things and communicate and talk in a business-like manner, all the way through to like when you get more higher up the ladder and you're learning about profit and loss and how to get business and how to know when a client might be looking to leave you and to pull them back in. That's the kind of thing you have to go to work to learn. You can't sort of jump that bit and sort of go right in. I am talking about my industry, by the way, not talking about other industries. So that would be my advice, is to go and get that experience. Do you watch Love Island? If so, what is your opinion so far? Side note, why haven't you and David come to sunny LA just yet? I don't watch Love Island, it's not really my thing. We haven't been to LA yet. Well, I want to. This year, we're doing Asia. Next year, we're doing the States. So stay tuned. I really badly want to go there. Do you and David have joint accounts or do you have separate? If the latter, are you responsible for certain household expenses? We've got a joint account. It was quite an interesting one actually, because obviously when we first met, we had separate accounts. And then when we got married, that was the first time we sat down and we were like, should we do a joint account? Now at the time, we already had a joint account, but we didn't use it for the common bills. We would get paid each month. So the way we always worked is we would take all of the household bills and we would go 50-50 on it. And we'd have direct debits set up for different things. And then with our savings, the amount that we could afford to save each month, we'd put it in the joint account, so we'd both be paying into it. It was only when we bought our first house that we had to do the joint thing. So that's what we do now. And when it comes to household expenses, see, the thing is with David and I is we both work for the same company and we're both living in the same house. So it's not kind of like, there's not really a tussle or a fight in terms of who's paying for what, because we both have to pay for it. So it's actually quite easy. All the cars you've ever owned: BMW 3 Series, Porsche Boxster, another Porsche Boxster, Lamborghini Huracan, Porsche 911, I've got a Porsche thing going on here, Bentley, Range Rover, Ford Fiesta, best car ever, and soon to be a new one that I will tell you about soon. Has your husband David ever wondered why you spend so much money on luxury stuff, especially high-end bags? Has he ever snapped at, or no, have I ever snapped at him and got defensive over my bag collection? Never has that happened. I could not live with a man who was constantly on at me about everything that I did, not even money, but you know, what are you wearing today and what are you doing today and where have you been? And I couldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I think it would be very different if I was buying things and, I don't know, putting it on the mortgage or running up credit cards. But no, because it's money that very fortunately we can afford to use, to spend, and because we're both working for it, it's never really been a problem. And also, David and I are very similar people in that neither of us are judgmental at all. If you name someone and ask me to give an opinion on them, I would not even have an opinion. I don't tend to form judgments on people. And also, I think maybe because of that, when it comes to what each one of us wants to do, he's not answerable to me and I'm not answerable to him. We always joke that in many ways, when we got married, it felt the same as when we were single. Not in terms of like seeing other people, because that would be weird. But what I mean is in terms of how we both go out and still see our own friends. Or there's no like tie. There's no, you're married now, you must do this. Neither of us are like that with each other. And indeed, he buys things as well that have got high price tags associated, and he doesn't have to ask me. We're just kind of like quite a chilled out couple, so no, we don't have to do that. You want to know, did I get the new Porsche? Maybe. There's going to be a video coming out this coming week, so come and watch there. Honestly, that car is just, it's one thing when I feel really like I've always wanted it and they're so hard to get. Anyway, look, come and watch back later in the week. Very interesting. Now, you've seen the debt video I did where I spoke about how I got into debt, how I got myself out of it. And you've said that you've nearly paid off your debt. And do you know, that made me so happy when I read that. Whenever I read any of you who contact me having seen the debt videos, it makes me so proud, like so happy for you, when the advice that just happened to work for me works for you as well, because debt is a scary, dark, isolating place. You don't want to tell people because people are going to be like, oh my God, how did you let that happen? It's like, oh, it's irrelevant. It's happened. Now what? So when the things that help me can in turn help you, I feel so happy because I remember that dark place. Did I close down my overdraft and all of my credit cards, or did I leave them open because you're worried about like credit history, etc.? Don't close them all down. What I did is a lot of the credit cards that I had that had like a small available facility on them. So like, for example, if I had a credit card and it had, I don't know, like £1,000 on it, but then I had like my Barclay card, which, oh my God, I could kill myself with that because they're like, here's 20 grand. I'm like, oh my God. But with the smaller ones, I killed all of those off, I closed them down, but I kept going the other ones. What I didn't carry them around with me in my wallet because just in case it was like temptation or anything like that, but I had them at home and they were there if I needed them. It is kind of important though. Now, here's one thing. Right now, a friend of mine is going for a mortgage and they've just got rejected for it. They failed on the credit. And you know, they failed on the credit, not because they've got bad credit, but because they have no credit history. They've got more than 50% of the money up front cash to pay for the property, and they can afford the monthly repayments, no problem at all. But because they've never had a credit card, they don't even have a pay monthly mobile phone. They've got pay as you go. Because that's how they've been. There's no history for them whatsoever. So the bank have said, you need to take out a credit card and start using it and then come back in a year's time. And it's devastating because they've lost this property that they can afford. But they've been living their life thinking, I'm avoiding debt, I'm doing the right thing. And actually, it's worked against them. Shazia, how do you deal with people who are jealous and negative towards your success? I cannot think really of anyone that I've ever had issues with in that respect. How would I deal with them? Well, I like to surround myself with nice people, and I think if I ever knew anyone or got vibes off anyone who was being horrible to me in that way, I just wouldn't have them in my life. Tammy on Facebook, you were talking about saying that some of my older videos, I used to buy a lot of high street clothes and match them with luxury items. But recently, I've been adding a number of more expensive clothes to my collection, i.e. like some Dior ready to wear, etc. I absolutely love your style, and I wondered if you plan to do any future videos that involve high street clothes or similar items that we can afford that looks high end. Now that's quite interesting because I have definitely in the last probably year started buying a few more items from Dior ready to wear that I've added in. I still do those high street videos, and ironically they do really badly, and I really appreciate your feedback, all of you, on this actually. For example, if I do a Zara video, or what did I do recently? I've done Zara, ASOS. Whenever I do those videos, you guys hate them. I can see it from the views and from the thumbs downs and from the comments. They don't appear to be what people like. But let me know what you think. I always like to try and keep my finger on the pulse in terms of what you guys like and what you don't like. And if I do a video and it's like ranking really badly for something, I'm like, okay, that's given me a good idea that you don't like that. I can like try and not do that so much anymore. But I'd actually appreciate your feedback on that, because that video I did on Zara, you guys hated it. And I was like, couldn't figure out why. And I can only assume it's because it's like the fast fashion thing. As a person in my real life, I do own a few statement items from designers, but actually most of what I buy is from the high street. So, and I'm not gonna lie to you and be like, oh, I dress head to toe in Chanel every day, because I most certainly do not. I don't even own any Chanel, but the kind of person that I am is 70 or 80% of my wardrobe is high street, and the rest, actually probably even only 10%, is designer. What do you do to stay in such great shape? And that's very sweet of you to say. The things that I do are exercise, I love exercise because it's a chance for me to go and listen to my favourite music, but also it makes me feel good and I sleep better at night. I feel fresher when I've been doing exercise. You don't have to join the gym to exercise. The thing that I do at home most of the time, because I'm so busy, is Lucy Wyndham Reed on YouTube. She does these videos and they're like 7 minutes long or up to 20 minutes. And they're just at-home workouts and you don't even need weights or equipment. You would be surprised using your own body weight as resistance, how quickly you can shape up. And I find workout videos can be quite boring, but because they're only like 7 minutes long, as soon as I'm bored, it's finished, it's over and I've done it. And I don't buy junk food. I do eat junk food. I do, like if I go out with my friends or something like that, very often, sometimes, if we're feeling bad, we'll end up in McDonald's. But I've stopped buying cereal bars. I've stopped buying packets of crisps. All of the things that I was snacking on in the days, like a couple of years ago when I put on like 1.5 stone, all of the things that I was snacking on because I was busy and I didn't have the time, or I couldn't be bothered to put together a meal for myself in the day, they were putting on weight. Even sugary drinks are the worst. So now, things that I have in the house that are quick are like eggs. Make yourself an omelette, throw like a whole ton of vegetables in there, add a little bit of cheese or something. I know some of you might be vegan, so that won't work for you, but I'm just saying what works for me. Doing that's a really quick, quite tasty way of eating protein and like fibre through the vegetables. That's really good. Even things like I buy these packets of pre-cooked chicken breasts, and in the day I can just throw together a salad and just cut a chicken breast into it and put like some dressing on it or something like that. And I'm going to do one more, and it's from Andrew's World, and you have said, do you regret anything in the past, or do you put it down to life experience? I love this question for this reason. I don't regret anything, and I want to share this piece of information to any of you. If you're the kind of person where you look back on life and you're like, oh, I should have done this, or I should have done that, or I regret this. Or if you're not, if you're someone though that fears regretting things, then just hear me on this. I never regret things. Why? Because what I did at the time was right at the time. And that's a really important thing to remind yourself of. Like, let's say, for example, you're 25 and a beautiful house comes up for sale and you really want it, and you kind of could buy it, but it would break you, and if the interest rates moved, you'd be bankrupt, and you didn't buy it. And then 10 years later, you're 35 and that house you're looking back going, oh, I wish I bought that house because now my salary's gone up so I could easily pay for that. That's a silly thing to regret, because yeah, right now you could afford it, but back then you couldn't. And if you did buy it back then, you probably wouldn't be where you are right now. So I think it's always key to look back on your life and go, don't regret it, because right then you did what was right for you. And sometimes if there are things that you wish you did in the past that you didn't do, depending on what it is, doesn't mean that it doesn't stop you doing it now. You can very often still chase for things in your current situation. So maybe that's another way of looking at it. I really thank all of you for watching and all of you for asking a question. What I'm going to do is in a second, actually, to those of you who have written me questions on Instagram, I'm going to try and go through, and everyone who I didn't answer your question on here, I'm going to try and answer you on there, so you get like an answer back on there. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.